So now, at long last, we know what Theresa May meant when she said Brexit means Brexit. She wants to take Britain out of the single market, which, for the record, I think is an act of national economic suicide. But anyway, moving on. She says she also wants tariff-free trade with Europe. And that's not the only example of May wanting to have her cake and eat it too.
We do not seek membership of the single market. Instead, we seek the greatest possible access to it. And because we will no longer be members of the single market, we will not be required to contribute huge sums to the EU budget. Fairer, more united, and more outward-looking than ever before. Brexit must mean control of the number of people who come to Britain from Europe. We want the EU to be a success, and we want its remaining member states to prosper. No deal for Britain is better than a bad deal for Britain.
Immediately after her speech, the EU's chief Brexit negotiator, Guy Verhofstadt, tweeted this: Britain has chosen a hard Brexit. May's clarity is welcome, but the days of UK cherry-picking and Europe à la carte are over. A nice line in food metaphors, Guy, and I have to say, I agree with him. Many of Theresa May's sentences began, I want, as if a bespoke deal for Britain is already on the table and simply ours for the taking. Cherries, cakes, whatever's on or off the menu, I'm afraid she's being too greedy. And the first aim of the EU is to make sure that Britain's worse off out than in. But hey, at least we know now. Brexit really does mean Brexit.
It's all very defeatist. You know, the thing that separates Leavers and Remainers for me, and you probably know that I'm a Leaver, is the Leavers are very optimistic, we're very hopeful, and we believe that Britain is great, we believe that anything we want to achieve, we can. Remainers, on the other hand, seem to think that Britain is this hopeless, weak little country that can't survive without the prop of the EU. And I don't believe it is for a second.
Can I just inject a note of reality? It's not just mere pessimism, it's also a bit of reality. Yesterday, what happened, Carol?
Yes.
HSBC.
Okay,
UBS,
they said, okay.
Goldman Sachs,
so HSBC said
they are moving thousands of jobs.
HSBC was 100 and something.
No. It was both thousands of jobs.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the new head of the EU...
Google headquarters, London. Snapchat headquarters,
exactly.
London. More Rolls-Royces being sold in Britain than ever before. Unemployment up. You're talking utter cobblers. Utter pessimistic cobblers. She's nailed you.
No, she hasn't nailed me
whatsoever.
All she said is that Leavers are pessimists. And Britain was a battered wife.
So look at
Rubbish.
the fact. IMF has revised its growth forecast from 1.7 to 1.8. It's actually predicted that we will be the fastest growing country in the G7 this time next year.
Carol,
that's all good news.
The WTO, if we leave under a hard Brexit, no deal, our GDP is forecast to fall 7.5%.
And if we did go
pessimism
to World Trade Organization rules, what's going to happen is Europe is going to have to pay bigger tariffs to export to us than we will have to them. So they don't want to do that. You know, the thing is, the single market is a closed shop. It's discriminatory. Why do we want to stay in a club?
Hold on. Carol, I refer you to what I said earlier. Theresa May wants complete frictionless, costless access to the free market, the single market.
No, she doesn't want us to be in it.
I think she wants everything, but not having to pay for it. I'm afraid, as Muscat, who is the new Maltese head of Europe, has said, whatever happens, Britain has got to be poorer than before.
When you start a divorce, you go for everything. You go for the house, you go for the art collection, you go for the wine cellar, you go for the country house, you go...
Did you get any of them?
I got none of them. None of them. I'm still trying. And then the reality of the deal goes through. That is what I say.
I think it's so unfair to characterise Remainers as pessimistic. I'm positive that we're completely screwing this up. No. You know, and no, seriously, it's ridiculous to say because we said that this was a bad idea and it's turning out to be a bad idea that we're all pessimistic.
Who says it's turning out to be a bad idea? It hasn't even happened yet.
You know, I have to say, when I listened to Theresa May's speech this week, I actually thought that does sound quite good.
She did.
It did sound quite good. And then I realised what a load of nonsense it was.
What was nonsense about it? What was
fantasy.
nonsense? Tell me what was nonsense.
It was a letter to Father Christmas. I want.
She said no. She was quite clear.
Whatever she wants is going to be irrelevant, Carol. It's going to be whether the 27 other former partners actually want to deliver it.
Part of the mistake that you're
she has said we will go it alone. If they won't give us the deal, as she said, no deal is better than a bad deal.
Part of the mistake that you're making is characterising this as Greg, quickly, is characterising this as the EU punishing us. You know, it's not about punishment. It's about negotiation. No. If you don't let somebody leave and have a better deal afterwards, because if you're negotiating after your own interests, which any sensible negotiator would do, you've got to look at your own member states. If you send a message that leaving leaves you better off, the whole thing falls apart.
That's exactly.
And by the way, that's the thing that we're planning to benefit from when we're outside it, right? So it's not even in our interest if the rest of the EU falls apart. There's no way that they are going to let us have all the things we want without any of the costs. And it wouldn't make any sense if they did. And that's not being vindictive, that's just negotiating.
As a Remainer, I was quite... Oddly, I found it quite a positive speech. I thought she delivered it well, and it was quite a good speech.
No, I'll give you that.
It was a good speech. I think what you'll get at the end of the day is half of what she wants in there she won't get. And at the end of the day, we will have a vote in Parliament on whether or not she's got a lot. Now, if in the end she has to take the no deal, I think Parliament will vote it down. I genuinely do. And if Parliament votes it down, we then have another referendum.
But can I add something before we have the Brexit Alliance responding to that? We've got that coming up. On Tuesday we're going to find out about whether Article 50 can be. We know the result of that. But also, it's been, I think, by my calculation, about 8 months since June the 23rd, and since Liam Fox was made trade. So what basically is happening is we're leaving our 27 former exes behind. And we went on Tinder in June, let's say June the 24th.
Swipe right.
How many countries have swiped right to sleep with us since we're rejecting
Liam Fox.
12.
Liam Fox.
12.
That's amazing.
Well, that's a start.
It's nothing.
That's fantastic.
I think it's
That's fantastic.
Why would they screw us up? You know, the EU...
We've opened our legs to the rest of the world. Nothing's happened.
That's an interesting analogy.
Screw us up, Carol.
Seriously, in the single market, we get... They export us 290 billion quid's worth of goods every year. They're not going to mess with that. They're not going to screw that up. Why would they? It does them more damage than it does us.
Hang on. It depends where those exports are coming from. They'll come from certain countries, not others. It requires 27 people to agree.
And that's the problem with it.
And you won't get. And I think almost certainly you'll end this thing on the set of what she said in that speech, which is Brexit will mean Brexit, and we will therefore not have a deal, and we'll just go on the World Trade Organisation rules. Now at that stage, I think Parliament will do what it's there for to do, to say, no, that's not good enough.
I don't think they dare say no, because what they'll be doing if they say no is voting down the will of the people.
That's
why it went
Carol.
through.
Who said anything about leaving the single market or the customs union? Who voted? Who when they voted on the ballot sheet said that's what they were voting for? Exactly. So you can't say what the will of the people is, because you don't know.
Afua, you're wrong. We knew we were going to leave the single market.
It was up for debate.
We obviously knew.
It never was.
Well, you watch this. I mean, the Liberal Party, who are going to be the only party I think who've got a coherent Remain structure, because I think the Labour Party's all over the place. But the Liberal Party is basically saying, look, we want a second referendum on the terms.
But we've had one. Because they didn't like the first result.
Because we didn't know the terms. We didn't know the terms.
It doesn't matter.
It was a ridiculous referendum done because of the inner politics of the Conservative Party.
If the result had gone the other way and there was a 4% difference the other way, that we would be having all these discussions. Because you know what would happen?
Mr Farage said
all leavers would be shouted down as racists and and bigots, and they wouldn't be listening.
Go back and see Mr Farage. Mr Farage made it very clear that if the vote was as close as 48-52, he would continue the fight.
How can Mrs May, Afua, negotiate if she thinks every time she comes back with a deal it's going to have to be a referendum? It's impossible.
It should be a
parliamentary.
I think
you want a referendum?
No, I think we need some clarification on what people voted for.
You didn't say
it was a bad question in the referendum because
yes, I do.
Because people.
You want another referendum?
No, I say at the end of the day, I would want a referendum on the basis of the deal, and if people then say yes, we agree, that's the right deal.
What if they say no?
What if they say no? We go back.
How many times?
Can
you imagine where you're negotiating about? I mean, you're, as they're probably laughing already, we're just...
Nick.
This is going to be fine.
I mean, there are children as yet unborn, and we'll still be probably debating as yet unborn.
Let the unborn...
Double the length of World War II.
Let the unborn children continue the argument, guys. Let the unborn children take it over.
Double the length of World War II.